so almost like
Yes.
I keep thinking of that scene from Minority Report. You remember that movie with Tom Cruise where he's walking down the street and all the messages are coming at him from the shop because they recognize that it's him and they know what he's interested in, and it's very creepy and stuff. But creepy's here, man. Creepy's here already.
Creepy is here.
Welcome to the Active Marketer Podcast, where we talk about how to design, automate, and scale your business to the next level using sales and marketing automation. You can find out all the tips, tactics, and techniques you need to get more customers and sell more stuff over at theactivemarketer.com. Now, here's your host, Barry Moore.
Welcome to the Active Marketer Podcast. I'm your host, Barry Moore. The Active Marketer Podcast is sponsored by theactivemarketer.com, the home of the best-selling ActiveCampaign training online. Head over to theactivemarketer.com if you want to check it out. This week, we've got Chris L. Davis from ActiveCampaign on the show. Chris is a favorite guest of mine. We always love to talk about all things marketing automation and some groovy ways and theories and tactics that you can use in your marketing automation. Super clever guy, and glad to see him at work at ActiveCampaign these days. One great thing about that company is they're constantly rolling out new features and enhancements to the product. And sometimes you just need to hash out with somebody new and innovative ways to use those features as they come out. So I thought we'd get Chris on the show. I actually had him, we had an idea to do a different show, but we ended up just riffing on a bunch of different things about how you could use some of the new features inside ActiveCampaign. So I'll let you just listen in, and hopefully you'll get some ideas of your own on how you can put this stuff to work in your business. All right, I want to welcome back to the show Mr. Chris L. Davis. Chris, how are you?
Barry, I am doing very well. It's so good to be back on the show. I know we've been trying to get connected with each other and just missing. So it's great when we're synced up and we can finally make this happen. And
folks, if you're not familiar with Chris, he was at LeadPages for a while, and now he's head of education. Is that right, at ActiveCampaign?
Yes. I'm the director of education at ActiveCampaign, tasked with the job of creating or making marketing automation a lot more easily adaptable for our small business owners and, of course, our users, just so that when they are ready to get it implemented, they know exactly what they're doing and they can leverage it at the highest level.
And whenever I run into a problem, I always just look at the bumper sticker on the back of my car, which says, "What would Chris do?" So, folks, this is going to be a little bit random. We were talking before we hit record here, and we were just kind of going in random directions about what's happening in marketing automation. So we're going to keep the randomness going here, Chris. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about. I know we had a little bit of you contributed to a trends article that I just put out where we see kind of marketing going in 2017, but maybe you can give us kind of the official, if you're not letting any secrets out of the bag, but kind of the official direction that AC sees themselves going in 2017.
Yeah, in fact, some of the things that we're working on internally is what shaped what I put out there. As far as what the trends that I see. And to your point in your article, I would say every single person or every piece of expertise in that article, I found myself shaking my head like, yep, I can see that. Yes, yep, you're right. I do see that landscape. So one of the things that I've enjoyed, it's taken me a little bit to come on board and really understand everything, as with any company. And the more I understood, the more I get excited because I know without a shadow of a doubt where Jason's vision is for not just marketing automation, but the company and the impact he wants to make in the small business to small enterprise section. And it's never been about just the emails. And the more I learned marketing automation and adapted it for myself, I started to realize, you know what, it's so much more than just sending emails. right? Like there's so much more you can do besides just, hey, they visited a page, send an email. Hey, they're on this list, send an email. Hey, they bought, send an email. Those are basic functionalities that's really powerful. But when you start getting to have more mature processes and bigger processes in your business, both internally and externally, you start to get a different appreciation for automation and what it can do and just how much of your business it can handle. So one of the things that I mentioned the thing that I did mention is messaging outside of the inbox.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? I mean, Barry, essentially, if we think about it, we're kind of already used to doing it when we're talking about retargeting. Right? Because it's a way of putting some messaging on social media. Now, there's no way to really track who sees it unless, oh, my God, you're paying for impressions, which, oh, my goodness. But you have some basic metrics, right? You're paying and people are clicking. So, they're seeing your message, but you don't really have control. So we have site messaging is one of the features you'll see coming out soon in 2017, which essentially turns your website into an email inbox, right? And it looks very similar to like your support little bubbles that pop up in the bottom right, but the functionality is very much that of an email. So you can see when someone opens it, when they go to your website and they see it. You can see when they open it, you can see when they click it, and then you can trigger automation based on the action taken on the little the site messaging.
Yeah, I was just walking through, I was doing a live call for my Academy members last night, and we were walking through that site messaging stuff as well. And it's one of those things you open it up and you go, wow, this is really cool. But what are the use cases? It's like there's a million or... Like, right. I haven't really wrapped my head around how to use it best at the moment, but it's pretty cool. Maybe even one thing, maybe you could take this back, maybe even one thing that would make it even cooler is if they didn't, because for those site messages, they have to be subscribers already, right, to get those?
Yes.
But if you could have like anonymous ones as well, right? So if someone's come to your site and they haven't opted in yet, but you can... hit them with an anonymous site message or whatever.
Right.
So if people don't know what we're talking about, site messaging, I think it's been out in beta for a while now, but if you've ever seen like Intercom, it's probably the most known one where there's a little icon in the corner and says, hey, Chris, welcome, blah, blah, blah. And you click on it and opens up a bigger message, and you can have images and custom fields, which is really cool, right? You can bring in your custom fields from ActiveCampaign. And, you can have call to action buttons in there and all that stuff. And as Chris said, what's also super cool is that becomes a trigger for your automations. There's whatever 20 odd triggers in there, subscribes to list, submits a form, tag is added. Now there's a new one, which is message has been read, right? So if someone has read that message, that can be a trigger to fire a new automation. But I totally get why that's important. I totally get where it's going like that. I think the unified messaging stuff is, I think, a super powerful trend that's coming. Like it's almost like I keep thinking of that scene from Minority Report. You remember that movie with Tom Cruise, where he's walking down the street and all the messages are coming at him from the shop because they recognize that it's him and they know what he's interested in, and it's very creepy and stuff. But creepy's here, man. Creepy's here already.
Creepy is here, and it's to the point of I think maybe Russell Brunson is the biggest advocate of the on-page sales funnel, like progressing them from visitor to customer without email, like literally just using pages linked together. This is another tool in that box, right? Because this site message, when you expand it, it could take them to perhaps a landing page. And that landing page, perhaps the thank you page, is a registration page for an evergreen webinar, right? And they register for the webinar, and maybe there's an offer that says, hey, get this before you attend the webinar, or a special offer or whatnot. And now they've progressed through literally an entire funnel without you having to capture much information or rely too heavily on email. So it's one of those things that the intent is never to replace email. It's just to add to it, right? So that it's more effective for you. And that's the hardest part, Barry. I'll be honest with you. That's the hardest part of what we do. because we've been doing it for so long. We see applications like that and they're like, oh, yeah, it makes sense to us immediately. However, the space in general, they're still really catching up with the dynamic email sending, tagging, custom fields of marketing automation. So sometimes you can get a little impatient. Wait, like, hurry up, guys, get it. Yeah. Hurry up.
Turn the light bulb on. Turn the light bulb on.
Right.
But if you mix that, where it's going is it's not automated email, it's automated messaging. Right. So
there you go.
Whatever that message is it's always the right message to the right person at the right time. Right.
Right.
So,
right. Exactly.
But add to that in the right medium. Right.
In the right medium. Exactly.
So that could be a Facebook ad. That could be a site message. That could be an email. That could be a Facebook Messenger thing. I mean, you go. I bought something from the States. I found this was really cool. I bought something from the States. And instead of getting an email that said, hey, your package is shipped and it's on its way, I got a Facebook message in Messenger.
Oh, wow.
In Messenger, it said, right, thanks for your purchase. Here's your purchase thing and here's a link to track it. And then when it shipped, I got another Facebook message inside Messenger that said, hey, your package is shipped and here's where it is. And then I got another one when it arrived. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yep. The implications are there. As marketers, we have to stay on the cutting edge and realize that email is no longer the only means of reaching the customer. But another thing I wanted to point out, Barry, as we were talking, because you were saying tracking anonymous, users or visitors or whatnot.
Messaging anonymous visitors, yeah.
Yep, for the messaging. So this is another thing I'm really excited about is our dashboards in our analytics, which we're calling, it's all part of our deep data initiative this year inside the application. Now, we track everything. We track everything that happens the second you put your site tracking script on your page. That's why it's one of the first things I recommend every single person do is to put site tracking on, because there's so many benefits that you get from it. And one of them is that you're able to start tracking anonymous user data. Okay. So just so everybody understands how the platform works, we're tracking anonymous users by cookie. Many platforms do. But the problem
as soon as they hit the first hit of the page.
There you go.
You've cookied them and tracking by cookie, right?
Yep. We're tracking pages, everything that they've done, right? The minute that they provide their email address or their unique identifier that lets us know who they are, we match it with that anonymous user. And now those two profiles are merged.
Yeah, so you're going in retroactively. All that traffic from whatever 2 weeks ago is now tied to that customer's profile.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So now that begs the question, is the anonymous user data valuable? And when you ask that question, the immediate answer is yes. Yes, that is very valuable. And then you ask yourself why. Well, in that anonymous user data, there are trends. Right? You may not know who they are, but you can see trends very much like Google Analytics. Right? And instead of somebody having to figure out just another analytics platform and log in, I haven't talked to many people who really enjoy going into Google Analytics.
Yeah, unless you work for NASA or something.
Right. So this is data that's buried. Many people listening to this podcast very well may not know how to see the top 3 sites or top 3 pages that people visit on their site within 3 clicks when they log into Google Analytics. This is not uncommon. It's not talking about people saying they're slow, but it took me years to figure it out. And I still try to shy away from logging in there. So if we can get that type of intelligence in your account, coupled with your ability to do some right there, you see a trend, and now perhaps you can build an automation based on a certain page visit, or you're seeing a particular flow that's happening with users on your website. And you can always see the trend, the conversion point, right? If the anonymous data is there, I can see what they did before conversion and after conversion. So now I can see which trends are leading to customers. I mean, it's It's amazing, and I'm really that's one of the things I'm extremely excited about. Very nerdy, very techy, but extremely important for us that do marketing online, are responsible for it.
Oh yeah, and it could be super groovy if ActiveCampaign, the engine, would know what the most popular posts on your blog or pages on your website, for example. If they know if they know that from the trend information, you could even automate that. So someone who doesn't know you at all, and they've just opted in for your lead magnet. That's their first interaction with you. You say, "Hey, thank you very much for downloading Lead Magnet. It'll be in your inbox in a minute. In the meantime, you might like these 3 posts." Pop, pop, pop.
Yes, Barry. Right? And you're just speeding. Their trends say they're going to read those posts anyway. Right?
So but those 3 could swap out based on which ones are currently the most popular ones, right? So
there you go.
If you could just say, "Hey, ActiveCampaign, put this link in here that is our most popular thing," right? Or the one, or conversely, the one that leads to the most conversions, right? If post A leads to the most conversions, I want to show that to everybody, right?
Yep. Exactly. And now it's kind of coming full circle. Even just these 2 features, anonymous, tying anonymous visit trends and usage to known data in site messaging. Because another thing is site messaging can be very specific to a segment based on actions. So like you mentioned, if someone goes to my tools page, maybe they don't see anything. But if they go to my tools page after they've downloaded my lead magnet, maybe they see, like you're saying, that message, because I see my trends that most people, after they download a lead magnet, go to my tools page. And now I can give them specific information via site message based on their specific actions taken. But if you don't take those actions, your experience is totally different. Totally different. So, yes, that's another insight of something that we're working on. Some of these big projects that we're working on that I'm really excited, and is really going to help give us, marketers. We need as many tools in our toolbox as possible because businesses are so dynamic. Even if you say I serve a certain vertical, every business, you'll be able to port over a certain amount of automations or data. But that specific business, their audience is going to be tailored to them. And we have to be able to quickly introduce and inject new features and strategies to help. So
awesome. And what you could do too is if they're going to that tools page, right? But they've already had a tag. They've already been tagged as being interested in webinars, for example, because they've looked at some webinars posts. When they hit that tools page, you could pop up a site message that says, "Hey, make sure you check out the webinar tools down here, and we've got a we've got a special on X right now, right?"
Yep.
They've got the webinar tag on them, right?
That's exactly it. So even just us talking, if somebody let this tape roll for an hour, we would have like 50 use cases, because the idea of, it's the same thing, Barry, it's the same thing that I say about broadcast messaging. I tell people broadcast emails are the laziest emails you'll ever send in marketing. You should never get to a point where you're sending your entire database a single message. At bare minimum, take that message and duplicate it and change a sentence or 2 and make it specific to certain segments, right? I mean, just that little bit of personalization is going to go a long way. The same is for site messaging. Yes, up until now, you can just display messages for everybody that comes to your site or logs into your app. But why not give somebody the granularity to look at what they've done and send a message on your website specific to that? And it could change, in an automated fashion, because you're using our logic and if else in determining what message they see. And then, trigger action based on how they engage with it. I mean, it just goes on and on, man. Like, the possibilities are really endless. But it's all about getting that one-to-one communication and experience, man. That's it, Barry. The whole goal of all of our initiatives this year is helping all marketers, business owners, get as personalized as possible with their marketing. So although it's one to many, it seems very one to me, right? Like he's talking to me. He knows what I'm doing and what I want.
And then if you tie that with some of the third-party tools like Fused App and some of those that can move people in and out of custom audiences based on tags that they've got inside ActiveCampaign, right? So they've gotten a tag for webinar stuff. Then all of a sudden they see some Facebook ads for webinar stuff. And then when they remove that tag, they take them out of that custom audience so they don't, keep pestering them and hitting them over the head with a hammer. So
right.
They're not seeing it anymore. So that not only are we getting them the right message at the right time in the right medium for the right duration. Ooh.
Exactly.
I need to be trademarking all this shit, what I'm saying.
Right. Right. Trademarks all over, Barry, all over. So that's one. Another one that is, and maybe we can cap it off at 3, but another one is what people have been seeing. It's been picking up some steam, some momentum. It's still early, but the implications going forward are great, and that's our deep data with our e-commerce platform. And we just launched our Shopify, and this is a huge opportunity. I personally have felt like e-commerce has been like the bastard child of marketing automation.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it. It's not like it did something to be punished. Just for whatever reason,
you sit in the corner and don't make any noise, right?
Right. Don't say anything. With these one product checkout pages does everything else. Okay, you shut up. And the closest I've seen love given to like the e-commerce space is one shopping cart. Back in the day, one shopping cart. And if you were using an all-in-one marketing automation platform that perhaps had a cart where you had multiple products, that's as close as it's come. So now you have other platforms that have slowly been rising up to provide a marketing automation experience within your e-commerce app. So if you go into Shopify and look at the apps, there's so many apps that do a portion of marketing automation. You'd have to purchase like 3 of them. And we're looking at this landscape and we're like, wait a minute, we do all of that. Like you can do literally all of it and it wouldn't cost you anything. So doing that deep data integration with Shopify is really opening it up and telling e-commerce, listen, you're part of the family. You've got the same last name as everybody else. Come out of that corner, come play. Here's a toy. And it's giving us entryway to a space that really deserves it, So Shopify is the first one. I'm excited about migrating or getting integrations with WooCommerce and a few other platforms that we've been eyeing, kind of see the most highest usage of. But that's going to be huge, man, because when you have a storefront, multiple products that are grouped in categories, and you can couple that with what we're talking about, site messaging, behavioral analytics, right? I mean, you will be able to get your average order, not only your average order up, but your lifetime customer value up by doing some really basic things with automation. So that's why I'm excited. The e-commerce space, you don't need to be extremely fancy, right? You just have to be efficient, and have a strategy.
Yeah, efficient, consistent, timely.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, so now e-commerce I keep having that mental image of the kids' table at Thanksgiving. E-commerce is sitting on the kids' table. You can come sit at the big table now.
Right. There's a chair for you. Come on, bring your plate.
Very cool. Anything else you can share what's coming down the pike at AC?
Yeah, those are the big ones. We're always looking for refinements and tweaks. Everybody who's listened to this knows I'm very much active in the Automation Nation Facebook group. Even if I don't respond, there's things that I read and I'm like, you know what, that's a good idea. So, but me knowing it's a good idea isn't enough, right? It's good enough for me to start thinking on, maybe I can create some educational content that answers this question. Maybe I can have an internal conversation with our product team and push some things forward. But ultimately, the feedback forum where you can post your ideas, your suggestions, and get them upvoted is hands down the most effective way. And I'm stressing this because before I was on board with AC, they were very much in tune with what we were saying. That was one of the things we all enjoyed, right?
Yeah.
It's like, man, when we suggest something, it gets done. So when you're posting things in there, there are a few posts where, you can argue that people are just bickering and complaining for the sake of complaining. But we have a lot of members in there that have genuine issues, concerns, ideas. I would encourage you all continue to use the ideas. In fact, the most effective way to get heard is if there is something that you want seen in the app, create it in ideas and then post it in the Facebook group along with your original question and just have the link.
Hell yeah.
Hey, and if you upvote it there. I'm serious. Our engineers, product owner, like when we see a good idea, it's almost like an impromptu meeting on, okay, how fast can we get this implemented?
Nice.
And you're not going to see that with any other company. We've not seen it to date, and I don't think that's changing. It's one of our competitive advantages. So you have the voice to next time you and I are talking, Barry, a lot of these features very well should come from feedback people have provided and we've heard and implemented. So,
all right, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes. So if you want to head over to the show notes for this episode, there'll be a link to that feedback form, which I think is called Ideas now. Ideas at ActiveCampaign. Ideas. So I'll link to that in the show notes. Chris, I want to thank you so much for coming on. It's always great to talk to you, and we should make this a regular event, the automation roundtable.
Yeah, I like that, Barry. I like that. I'll be down for that one.
All right. Thank you so much, and look forward to catching all your great content online.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Barry.
If you want more information on anything we mentioned in the show this week, head over to the show notes at theactivemarketer.com. And if you've enjoyed this podcast and you'd like to take your sales funnels and marketing automation to the next level, I would encourage you to check out the Active Marketer Academy. You'll find a course library of training, monthly trainings, monthly live calls, shared automations, exclusive resources and discounts, more than enough to pay for your membership many times over. And a supportive community to help you along the way. So check it out over at ActiveMarketerAcademy.com, and we'd love to see you on the inside. And as always, I'd love your feedback. If there's some topics you'd like to hear on the show, by all means, send me an email at barry@theactivemarketer.com, and we will make that happen. But until next week, get out there and design, automate, and scale your business to the next level using sales funnels and marketing automation. See you next time, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Active Marketer Podcast. You can find the show notes and all the latest marketing automation news over at theactivemarketer.com.